Mr Johnson promised during the race to become Prime Minister that we will leave by the 31st of October, come what may. I want to, at this point, bring in Anand Menon for a moment, and Christine, then I'll let you come in. What are the chances of Boris Johnson being able to renegotiate a deal by the 31st of October?
Well, he might be able to renegotiate a deal. I'm suspicious that he won't get the deal he said he wanted, because there's no sign as yet that the EU is going to just scrap this backstop. What worries me is, if we want to leave the European Union with a deal, Parliament's got to pass this horrible, clunky bit of legislation called a withdrawal agreement bill, and it's a piece of constitutional law. There is not enough time for Parliament now, given the fact they're all going off for 5 weeks. There is not enough time for them to pass that law by the 31st of October, even if he gets a deal. So my fear is that he might negotiate a deal, though I think it's unlikely, but even if he does, something has to give, because he's not going to make that 31st of October deadline, because the House of Commons and the House of Lords wouldn't pass this legislation in time.
So it's got to be no deal in that case, or he says, I've got a deal on the table, we'll extend it by a few weeks.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? The other question, of course, is if he looks like he's heading towards no deal. The interesting thing about your interview with Tobias Ellwood was, yes, let's all support Boris Johnson. Tobias Ellwood also said, no deal will be tremendously damaging and put us in opposition for 10 years. That's when the problems are going to start on the backbenches.
When do you think there would be a general election?
God, I've no idea.
No, but I meant with you looking at how Brexit pans out, I'm thinking from Boris Johnson's perspective, when would be the best time for him to call it? I'm kind of scratching my head. If you do it before October the 31st, what do you achieve? If you do it after October the 31st,
well, if you think about it, the gentleman over there said one of the problems you have is you have a Parliament with no majority for a deal, no majority for no deal, and no majority for Remain, which is a problem, okay? But equally, you have polling at the moment that is very, very volatile. What we've seen over the last week is the Conservatives have picked up votes from the Brexit Party, okay? And that's partly because of the line that Boris Johnson has taken, but they have started to lose more votes to the Lib Dems as a result. That is a very, very delicate balancing act that Boris Johnson is going to have to carry out. And at the moment, you have a weird situation with four parties basically polling neck and neck, and no one knows what would happen in the event of a general election, which makes MPs very, very reluctant to vote for.